Before meeting Dr. Viktor Frankenstein, then nameless hunchback Igor worked as a circus clown known as Felix the Clown, and as the physician for a traveling circus. Due to his hunchback, everyone treats him poorly, but Igor is very smart and draws beautifully detailed pictures of human anatomy in his spare time. While performing in London, an aerialist named Lorelei falls from her trapeze. Viktor and Igor rush to her aid, and Igor impresses the doctor by saving Lorelei's life. That night the circus owner locks Igor in a cage for drawing portraits of himself and Viktor. Viktor liberates Igor, and most of the circus performers chase them. One dies in the melee. Back at his townhouse/laboratory, Viktor deduces that the hunch on Igor's back is a cyst. He drains it and puts Igor in a harness to correct his posture. Igor can stand for the first time in his life. Viktor descends to his basement laboratory, leaving Igor to clean himself up. The next morning Inspector Turpin and his colleague Alistair investigate the murder of the circus worker. Turpin discovers Igor's sketches and a bag that Viktor dropped the night before. It contains a lion's paw. Turpin turns the sketches into wanted posters. The men are wanted for murder. Turpin tells Alistair he believes neither Igor nor Viktor killed the circus performer. However, over the past several months, a mysterious man matching Viktor's description has been buying and stealing animal parts all over London. Turpin, a devout man, believes Viktor is up to something blasphemous. On his way back to Viktor's townhouse, he sees the wanted posters and panics. When Viktor returns home from college, he assures Igor that the authorities are looking for a hunchback clown, not the new Igor. Viktor tells Igor his life's work is to reverse death's permanence. He shows Igor his latest experiment, the eyes of a man who died months ago. By preserving the eyes in a conductive liquid and attaching them to electric wires, he can reanimate them by flipping a switch. The eyes come to life, and Igor corrects a mistake Viktor made. Viktor is impressed and grateful. Viktor and Igor embark on reanimating different organs, lungs, a heart, etc. Weeks pass, and Lorelei finds a benefactor, so her life also improves. After Igor reanimates a pair of lungs, Viktor takes him to a high society soiree. Viktor becomes drunk and makes a nuisance of himself with his friends. Igor sees Lorelei. At first, she does not recognize him, but when she does, she greets him warmly. She now masquerades as the mistress of a gay baron. Viktor interrupts their reunion and behaves rudely toward Lorelei. Although he intrigues her by talking about the reversal of death, she much prefers Igor. At the end of the night, Viktor warns Igor about becoming too close to Lorelei, calling her a distraction. Soon thereafter, Viktor takes Igor into his basement laboratory and shows him Gordon, the corpse of a gruesome chimpanzee hybrid made up of parts he stole or purchased from zoos. Thanks to Igor's innovations, Viktor now believes he can reanimate Gordon by charging him with electricity. Igor's confusion turns to absolute shock when Viktor shocks Gordon and brings the creature back to life. The next day, Viktor presents Gordon and his experiment at his college. Few people attend the lecture, and the audience includes Lorelei and Finnegan, Viktor's snobbish wealthy classmate. Initially, Viktor cannot resuscitate Gordon, much to Finnegan's sneering delight. Lorelei looks disgusted by the proceedings. When Viktor beats his equipment, however, the machinery shocks Gordon again, reviving him. Gordon goes berserk and tries to attack Igor and Lorelei. He escapes the classroom, so Igor chases him through the building. Eventually, Igor corners Gordon in a stairwell, and when the two topple over the banister, they also plummet to their deaths. Viktor finds them and pulls them to safety, though. At Igor's existence, he crushes Gordon's head, ending his second life. Later, Turpin arrives at the college to inspect the damage Gordon inflicted. Finnegan visits Viktor and Igor at Viktor's townhouse. He commissions them to resurrect a human. Igor wants nothing to do with Finnegan, but Viktor overrules him. Later, Turpin and Alistair pay them a visit. Turpin takes Viktor to task for his experiment with Gordon. He wants to search the doctor's home, but Viktor tells him to get a legal warrant. Turpin and Viktor clash over God and religion. Viktor disdains Turpin's Christianity, and part on very bad terms. The next day, Igor meets Lorelei for a walk through the bustling streets of London. She tells him how uneasy Viktor's experiments make her. She believes Viktor goes too far. Igor finds it difficult to chastise Viktor because he believes he owes everything he has become to the doctor. Lorelei disagrees. Igor has always been kind and brilliant. Igor agrees he will speak to Viktor. When he returns to the townhouse, he meets Mr. Frankenstein, the doctor's father. Mr. Frankenstein has come to inform his son that he has been expelled from the college. Igor overhears him telling Viktor that now he has ruined his own life as opposed to that of his brother. Mr. Frankenstein's insults devastate Viktor, and Igor decided not to voice his concerns. Instead, he snaps Viktor out of his melancholy by pointing out that his sketches of Prometheus, the reanimated corpse, are too small. To make a reanimated body that can sustain a charge, they need to build a very large human. Viktor's enthusiasm returns. He and Igor believe that if they put 2 hearts and 2 sets of lungs into Prometheus and revive him via lightning, they could reanimate him. Igor sees Viktor's pocket watch and asks if it belonged to someone he loved. Meanwhile, Turpin's rage toward Viktor grows. The following morning, when Igor returns from Lorelei's party, he finds Turpin and a gang of policemen trying to break down the front door of Viktor's townhouse. Igor sneaks inside and tells Viktor they need to run. Viktor has sent for one of Finnegan's carriages, but he wants to destroy his machines before they leave. Turpin sneaks in behind Igor and pulls a gun on the 2 men. Viktor manages to knock him into one of his machines, and Turpin screams in agony as his hand is caught in heavy gear. Viktor and Igor escape through an underground passage and flee in Finnegan's carriage. Turpin bursts from Viktor's house, having lost his hand and an eye, just in time to see the Finnegan family crest on the carriage. Finnegan doesn't seem to mind that Viktor and Igor are wanted by the police. He sends them to his family's castle in Scotland. When Igor refuses to go, Viktor turns on him. He insults Igor, claiming Igor will never be accepted by society on his own. As Igor watches his former mentor leave, Finnegan's men sneak up behind him. They throw a bag over his head and bind his hands and legs. Finnegan has them throw Igor off Westminster Bridge, explaining that he wants his family to control Viktor's life-giving technology. He needs to clean up loose ends. Igor manages to untie his feet and swim to the surface. He goes to Lorelei, who nurses him back to health. After he recovers, Igor realizes he is Viktor's watch. Viktor told Igor that, as a child, he and his older brother went outside to play in the snow. A blizzard blew in without warning, and his brother Henry died. Viktor has always felt responsible for taking his brother's life. Igor decides to go to Scotland to stop Viktor's experiment, and Lorelei insists on traveling with him. When Igor and Lorelei arrive at Finnegan's isolated castle, they encounter an army of guards. Lorelei distracts them while Igor sneaks past them. Inside the castle, Viktor and Finnegan prepare for Prometheus's resurrection. A lightning storm brews and they have strapped the body into a cage attached to electrical wires. When Igor tries to stop Viktor, Viktor dismisses him. Turpin also manages to sneak into the castle in time to see lightning strike the body. Slowly, but unmistakably, the chest rises and falls. Finnegan and Viktor rejoice, but when more lightning strikes the tower, the machinery explodes. Finnegan falls to his death. Turpin draws a gun on Viktor, but both men are distracted when they realize Prometheus's cage is empty. Viktor declares that there is no God, only man. Viktor, Turpin, and Igor see Prometheus standing across the tower. Viktor runs over to it while Turpin threatens to shoot. The creature moves slowly and does not react to Viktor. The doctor quickly realizes what a mistake he has made. He has not created life at all. Turpin shoots Prometheus, and it attacks Viktor in a rage. When Turpin continues to shoot Prometheus, it kills him. Igor jumps into the fray and stabs Prometheus in the heart with a spike. The creature collapses, but Viktor reminds Igor that Prometheus has 2 hearts. It roars back to life just as Igor stabs its second heart. Igor collapses out of exhaustion. When he awakens the next morning, Lorelei stands over him. She has a letter from Viktor. Viktor figures that Igor has had enough of him. He apologizes for being cruel to Igor but also calls Igor his finest creation. Lorelei and Igor embrace. Somewhere in the Scottish countryside, Viktor sets out on a new adventure.